Hello there. Welcome to Everything on Purpose with Latoya Deshawn. I am your host, makeup artist, personal development coach to high-profile talent and women all over the world. We have an amazing guest today, okay? I only bring around the most dynamic women in the world. Today we have Dr. Suzana Flores, licensed clinical psychologist and author of Facehooked, How Facebook Affects Our Emotions, Relationships, and Lives. You're in for a treat. Dr. Suzana Flores, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing so good. I feel like we always talk like we said, and it's nice to finally get us on the mic. But you have just been such a big help and inspiration and aspiration. And I can't wait for you to let the people know how you've helped me and how you continue to help people in your daily work.
Well, trust me, the feeling is mutual. You've helped me too. So.
Thank you so much. So I like to start off, I have this high achievers method that I do when I talk to folks. And I pretty much start off asking you, what do you do and why do you do it? So go ahead.
Okay. So I became a psychologist. Like the generic answer is because we're interested in human behavior, right? That's textbook. And the reality, I grew up on the south side of Chicago, witnessed some stuff, which affected me emotionally. It was a tough neighborhood, and my parents, owned a grocery store. So we've seen, we've been held up and other things like that, which affected me emotionally. And that kind of made me curious and on a quest to figure out why I was feeling what I was feeling and why I was thinking what I was thinking. And that's true for most psychologists, actually. Most of us have had some history with trauma in some way. So that's what, led me to be a psychologist. And what led me to be an author is, I used to run marathons. I became ill. I had a serious back injury and, got depressed and all of that when, something changes drastically in your life. And I decided I needed a new purpose or a new goal. And I kept talking about Facebook and how it's going to change the psychological field. And eventually people told me to stop talking about it and write a book, so that's what I decided to do. And that's led to other cool things like my second book. It's Untamed, what the psychology of Marvel's Wolverine. And now I present at Comic-Cons. I did a TEDx, 2 TEDx's now, yes. It's taken me on an incredible journey that I would have never known had I not gotten ill. Yeah. Believe it or not.
Well, actually, I do believe you because now that I've been doing my research and when you look at my personal experiences, when we don't attend to our mental health, it affects our physical health, especially
100%,
especially for women of color. So that's, to me, a surefire way to know if something is really showing up inside by how it's affecting you on the outside. I think
at 100%.
What I love what you do is you really put language to what's happening in human behavior. And I think if we all, I wish that I even knew that it was about human behavior, even when I was studying psychology, the way I do now and the way I'm so interested in it now. So I really just commend you for seeing it, number one, and saying, hey, I want to do something about it in my neighborhood, in myself, in my life. So I appreciate you.
Yeah.
The next thing.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. The next thing is I was just talking about its impact. So you do live in the quarter in New Orleans. So you have moved from Chicago. We actually met in Los Angeles. Again, I'm a makeup artist and I like working with women who get on camera. So you needed to get on camera for your book. Yeah, at the time. And then I did your hair and makeup. It was so early in the morning.
And, we clicked instantly, I think, and I think I was a keynote speaker or something at some event and I'm like, I need help. And you came to the rescue. And so, it was early, but we talked about a lot. And we, said from that point forward, we're going to be friends. Absolutely. Because we had a connection and it's a matter of forming your own tribe, a new tribe, based on similar interests and purpose.
I feel like if we were to talk about this 5 years ago, I wouldn't even know how to formulate what you're saying right now, but I completely get it now. And it all really ends with community. And so getting into that, I want to let people know why I really asked you on. There was a situation that happened last year as I was already transitioning in my life and was making real strides. I had went to New Orleans because I had a friend at the time who was going there for a job. And she was like, hey, Toya, you want to go? And I was like, yeah, like I'm the girl who's single. You ready to go leave and go to Paris tomorrow? I'm her. And I also just wanted to get away. We were in COVID. And so I just wanted to eat some good food. Like everybody knows the best food comes from Chicago and New Orleans. In the United States, fight us on this.
Yeah, exactly. There is no challenge.
There is none. And so I remember trying to navigate this relationship when I had different plans than she had. She was there for business and then I was there for pleasure. So already we had different like goals in mind and how we were hanging out. The one thing she did, she ended up inviting her sister well after she had invited me on the trip. And so that's significant because, back then I didn't think that mattered, or I was the girl who go with the flow. But I'm really realizing that doesn't necessarily serve me well. But at that time, I didn't speak up for myself. And so fast forward, as I spent a few days with them, which immediately when I saw my friend and her sister, I saw this sense of envy or jealousy. At this point in my life, I had already set some big goals for myself. So I was starting to lose weight. It was looking like it on the outside, as well as me working really hard on the inside. And even though she was privy to the inside of what was happening, I think it was a lot for her to see what it looked like on the outside. And so instantly I saw something that did not make me feel comfortable. But again, just kind of went with the flow. I realized her sister, because we spent the most time together because my friend was at work, she had a lot of opinions about me. And again, back in the day, I was so good at just like, oh, whatever. Like it just, none of it mattered because I was cool with me. And so it just didn't matter. But it was little things like walking on the French Quarter, she thought was like kind of dangerous. And I'm like, well, how do we get to the restaurants? Or like, I'm down for like a 3-mile walk. Like I'm a tourist, like I got the shoes, I'm ready, and for her, because she was a bigger woman anyway, it's like that wasn't what she did.
That is so opposite your personality. I can't even tell you, right? That is drastically different.
Absolutely. I love culture. I just want to be out there with it in any way, shape or form. And so, again, I'm also like, we don't have to be the same. You can also do your own thing or call a taxi to go 3 blocks. Like it's fine, And so I just realized there was a lot of critique about just who I was and how I was operating. I do want to acknowledge that I am, again, a single woman currently, won't be for long, but I'm also from Los Angeles. I've also traveled internationally. I have a good grasp on how I need to take care of myself to the point where I just don't walk in fear. Doesn't mean I'm not cautious. It's just, I just don't have to walk in fear, And when you come from big cities, which she's from a big city, that's just my comfort zone. So it's fine for me, but wasn't fine for her.
The vibe I'm getting is that she wasn't necessarily trying to control you, but she was trying to contain you. Does that make sense? Jealousy is a very scary thing, right? And, when we can't control our emotions, obviously her emotions were controlling her. She wasn't controlling her emotions. Or, she wasn't necessarily, pulling the strings or so, like, kind of calling the shots. She was trying to scare you into getting into her mindset or her circle of fear, right? Because you're not supposed to be that way because I'm not that way. So I'm going to try to get you to get scared or judge you so that you could do things my way. Classic manipulation.
Yeah, I'm still learning about manipulation and how it shows up. When you've had it so much, you just don't know what you don't know. Again, grateful to be able to put language to it. But for me, I was also like, but you also have choice. That's the language I knew then. I'm like, you have choice. You don't have to do this. I'm okay. But, some people when they travel with people, they really want you to do everything together. And that's also just not me either.
Yeah. Well, to clarify, manipulations can be conscious or subconscious. Like people may not even be realizing that they're trying to manipulate you to get, you to do what they want you to do. But, obviously something like that is based on inferiority. Like if you're very confident within yourself, you don't have to criticize or judge other people because you're solid. Right? It's only insecure people. And again, I don't know this person, but that's my best guess. It's only insecure people that try to, one, either control or judge or bring other people down. But if you're confident, you actually try to boost the self-esteem of other people. For example, like if I can do it, you can do it. 100%. Like I'm with you all the way, right? Because that person is not a threat to you. But I think that she probably felt your energy and it made her uncomfortable because she was not at your energetic level. Yeah. And so she tried to probably subconsciously try to bring you back down or bring you down to hers.
You're right. Because like I said, when I first saw them, because I arrived in New Orleans first, I remember my friend, again, when I see her in security, I immediately like, you're fine. It's great. Can I iron your clothes? Can I pour you up a drink? And I think just watching her sister see that she has support in this way, I think was also upsetting her, because I was like, I'm not the one going to work. What do you need? But to your point, as we continued on the trip, my friend, once she got off of work, we would try to find an activity to do together. Because I made myself available for that. But when I tell you, my friend, I learned about her because you have friends, but we've all been traveling and doing our thing for so long. We're not really always in the same city with each other. So you don't really hang out with them intimately as you're growing. So you're learning stuff about them as you're hanging out. And I realized she was such a nervous person to the point where it, in my opinion, just affected the driving, just her mind. And I was like, well, and then she was seemingly putting more things in the mix, like, oh, you're thinking about things, but you're also calling your niece on FaceTime while you're driving in an area where you don't know directions. And
that would unnerve anybody for sure.
And then I'm like, I can drive. You did just get off of work. But, so again, me just trying to always mitigate. I feel like that's what I'm always trying to do. That's what I'm used to doing. That's what I'm realizing.
Or maybe that's what you used to do.
Yeah. Right now, I'm just like, I'm calling a thing a thing. And if you don't be around, if you don't, I can go. That's the new Toya. We're just in episode 4. So they're learning about it. And so we went to dinner, a really amazing restaurant. I can't tell you the name of it, but of course, he had the charboiled oysters. I can have them all day, every day. And I'm glad that they're available almost everywhere. And
almost everywhere, right?
Afterwards, they were pretty shocked when I decided to go to a bar and leave them to go actually have fun.
See, contain. You're trying to contain you.
Yes. And then maybe I should have brought it up earlier. These are my independent habits that I have that I need to work on, especially when my husband finds me. But maybe.
I would just disagree a little bit. Like, you shouldn't have to. If someone's very centered with themselves, right? And you're like, hey, I want to check out this bar. I'll be back. That should not be a big deal.
And I do hear you on that. Again, different situations with different people, it's letting me just know how I show up. So it's like, I don't mind also like the critique. And so, but I was like, I got to get away from them. They're boring. I want to just go sit somewhere, watch a sport, just whatever. I had also been working on set for a few months. So I was used to getting COVID tested and just being around folks. I didn't have that kind of fear September 2020. Yeah. And so I went, and just like New Orleans, I couldn't even sit down before a guy was flirting and asked to sit down with his friend. Like, yes, because, no one talks to you in LA. You're ugly.
Oh, stop. Well, men here have good taste. How about that?
Man, it just take me back, And so I loved it. I loved every bit of it. And then immediately they both were married. I think one of them was divorced. They both had kids. I made them take their ID out take a picture of it. I did all the things that an independent woman who goes out alone. So it was so funny because about an hour in, it was like, well, hell, what's your identity? We haven't asked anything from you. But at that point, we were comfortable. And so afterwards, we just hung out. More of the story, I had a good time. And I came home and just wanted to, I think I had like a joint or something. I just wanted to like have it downstairs before I left. So I had the guy just come up to.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, this is the incident. And whatever happened, it doesn't matter. But like was there for like a couple minutes. And I'm like, yeah, let's just go downstairs. So I think when... he was outside the door. And so I think they turned on the lights and literally like a movie, like they're both standing there because the way the apartment was made, like my room was on one side, their room's on this side. And so we're here in the middle of the door and they're just looking in utter shock, like, oh my God, I can't believe she brought this person here. I'm so unsafe. Like, I just can't believe it. And, again, like as understanding humans, it's like, I get it. I get how like you might make a conclusion, but also, me. So, but there was no room to explain myself. Also, at whatever time in the morning, like I'm not in the right space to do that, regardless. Mm-hmm. And then they're mad at me when the guy's already outside. It's kind of like, how are you going to argue from outside the club? It's like, he's not even in here. So whatever you're mad about, it loses weight when he's not in here. And so
how did you feel around them?
So for me, in that moment, I wanted to just neutralize the situation and just say, hey, like, this is what's happening, or let's talk, or something to this effect of, me. And that just wasn't good enough.
But how did your body feel? Like, what emotion were you experiencing around them?
I wasn't even tense, to be truthfully honest. I was sure of what I was doing. I wasn't more of like, so I was feeling, I won't say I was really anxious. That's good. I was calm, which is
They were anxious.
They were anxious. They were scared. That's the emotion I would say. I was neutral because there was nothing on my end to even after they see me to feel any kind of way, because I'm also thinking my friend is usually a reasonable person. She's going to let me talk and then it'll be fine. But that didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Mm-hmm.
Now, when that didn't happen, my emotional reaction was, oh my God, shock, a little bit unsure, but also like, I just want to wait until the morning. So I was just at a standstill with my emotions. But I was also angry because she had her sister there, seemingly egging her on.
Mm-hmm. So 2 against 1.
2 against 1, I felt ganged up on once I wasn't received. Yeah, I was fine until I didn't feel received. And again, at that point, I really needed the joint. So it's like, let's get downstairs and I'll deal with this when I get back or tomorrow.
Right. So that feeling of like, not necessarily stress or anxiety, as you put it, but that shock, right? Or that disbelief and all of that, we have to listen to our bodies more often, because that is, I'm not saying you didn't, I'm just saying people in general need to listen to our bodies more often, because that's your body's way of rejecting them. And so sometimes when people betray us or hurt us, like they think, most of us think like, okay, I'm being rejected or I'm being judged. It's actually, based on the level of our emotions and where we feel it, it could be the other way around. Your body also sends us signals, and it might have been rejecting them. Like, this is not where you need to be. So like, if you feel that constriction in your chest, or you just like a weird vibe about things, that's usually like instinct or like a body response based on your energy fields and their energy fields.
as a person who's been traumatized daily from just like existing in family systems where I didn't know better, although that feeling was uncomfortable, it was a feeling I had experienced so many times. But I never had a solution to how to get out of it, you know? And like I told you, try to neutralize it, diffuse it. Let me just be honest with you. Things like that was my method. Let me show up in integrity, and then you'll come back and show up. But I realized that's not the case.
Not always. No.
Not always. So I go downstairs, smoke my joint. I'm upset. I'm doing my thing. I'm talking loud, cursing out my feelings, talking to a friend who's available because LA is still up. And so I go upstairs and the door was locked. Like, not, what is the deadbolt? The deadbolt was locked.
Wow.
I was, oh my God. Because I'm feeling it now. Like, it was one thing, like, I get it, you know, we're mad. You got your sister here. Okay, you know, I'm used to being alone in terms of people not feeling me. That doesn't get me.
But you locked me out in New Orleans.
In the deadbolt, like 3, 4 in the morning. I remember just pausing for a second because I'm going to knock on this door. Because my thing is, if you're going to lock me out, why didn't you put my purse outside with some money and a phone?
Right.
You don't even do that.
But when people make erratic decisions like that, like when they come at you hard, you know, or make like an extreme decision like that, 9 times out of 10, it's not you. It took me a long time to realize that as well. Right? Because if our reasoning is like, okay, so it must be me sometimes, right? It must be me because they went to this extreme. But in actuality, they're functioning out of their own, let's say, reactions or limitations, right? So yes, like I don't want to say normal person, a person that was perhaps at the time more balanced, I'm trying to be PC here, would have called you and said, hey, we don't feel safe, we're locking the door, but here's your purse, here's your money. If you want to get your purse, come up now. Or whatever the case may be. But I would push it even further. A person that is a very good friend and balanced would at least listen to you, to be able to talk to you, you know, like even if it was, we can't have that, right? Or like for the rest of the trip, we're asking you not to do that, or whatever the case may be. Friends are supposed to be able to have direct and honest communication, unless they're at different energetic fields.
And that's what hurt the most, is I understand whatever it is you want to feel in your assumption, but you not letting me get the floor to explain myself doesn't show friendship. And she further showed that when after they let me in, because, you know, I'm going to turn up in New Orleans at 3, 4 in the morning. Your name is on this Airbnb. Got back in, went to sleep, got up. When I tell you my shower wasn't even working and I needed her to help get it done, nothing. I mean, I was like a piece of shit on the ground afterwards. I didn't even shower for a whole day. Didn't see her.
I'm really sorry you went through that.
Yeah, and I remember calling you because you were like, you were busy. You were traveling and you came back. Mm-hmm. So there was a chance we may not have saw each other. And you were available, and I just kind of told you what was going on. So I was just honest, you know, guiding principle number 1, you must decide, be honest about what's happening. And I just told you, and you said, I was like, yeah, I'm about to get up out of here. You know, I got money. I can go get another place. I don't want to have to do that, but I'm going to do it. And you were like, no, don't leave. Stay there. You're out of there in the morning. Well, you said you could meet up that evening with me, but you were just like, just chill. We'll meet up later on. And I mean, it was literally just like God sent, because again, you took me to a beautiful restaurant in the Quarter, which I always tell you, ever since you moved there, I've seen so much just fine dining with you. Everyone else there just goes to the same spots, but you really give it a different view. And I really love that. And so you showed me that also that night. And then you talked me down. And what I appreciate the most is that you helped to validate me when I could have took the negativity route on myself. Right? It's easy for us to say, well, yeah, maybe I did that, so this is warranted. But what I appreciate is that you were not going to let me feel that, and you armed me with information that really helped me to continue out that trip. Thank God I was leaving the next day. Can you talk a little bit about how you saved me?
Well, I think I remember us talking about, systems, family systems or friend systems, and how, when people are in a system and one person begins to act differently, even if it's in a positive way, the whole system or everybody in that system will do either conscious or subconscious moves to try to get you to come back to that system. Right. So let's say generational curses, for example. Right. And if you begin to you're beginning to notice some weird dynamic or your eyes are opening to unhealthy behaviors and you decide that that's enough, almost every person in that system will do something, say something, change behaviors, do erratic behaviors or whatever to try to get you to go back, because the number one reason I am employed is because people fear change, even if it's positive change. So when other people, we're not in a good place and other people begin to show positivity, it scares the crap out of people, either because of their own insecurities or because this is the way it's always been. You must comply. So I said, they were trying to contain you, and you're a free spirit. So am I. Hence, the exploration of New Orleans, right? The other thing we talked about is we can't control the thoughts and behaviors of other people, and we have, notice the word try, because it's difficult. Sometimes we have to try to not react, but you did well, right? You were contained, in a good way. So to not not react to the behaviors or the emotions of other people, but to act according to our own accord. So you were classy, right? You try to talk it out. They were not matching you and they were not going to hear it. And that has everything to do with their own volatility or sensitivity. It was everything to do with them, in other words. And so we also talked about, when people come at you hard or in an illogical way, that's extreme to that level. That's not you.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with you.
And again, you kind of get into the situation of is this me? What? This is so crazy. What's happening? What's going on? But I feel like you can't just read one book to figure this out. It takes time. You have to see it different ways and different layers. And that's what my personal transformation has been about. And it takes the time it takes. So can you talk about, the grace that you showed towards me? Because I didn't know all these things. I wasn't even in the awareness that I'm in now last year, even though I had learned so much then. So when I talk about the grace, it's how do you move me along while still understanding that I may not get it yet?
I think we talked about the 3 higher standards. I'm pretty sure we did, where you make higher standards for yourself based on things that have not worked well for you in the past. So, for example, if you're over accommodating, you make it a law. I will not over accommodate. Okay. Some of the ones that we talked about, these were my personal ones that I created for me because I'm an empath and an over accommodator usually, is I choose me. And for empaths or people that are over accommodating, that seems selfish, but it's not. Right? It's a matter of, do I have the time, energy, attention, finances, interest, whatever, to do what is being asked of me? And if the answer is no, then it's no. Now, obviously, there are exceptions to the rules, right? If there's an emergency, it's your best friend, etc. Right? But for the most part, it's something to keep in mind that no situation or no person is worth your mental health. Period. I don't care if it's your mama, your dad, your brother, your whatever. It does not matter. Your best friend of 35 years. People change. Okay. And so like when your mind and your body are not at ease, with someone, yes, you're supposed to try to talk it out. But if you're faced with reactions like that, sometimes it's really hard for us to accept that we are at different levels now.
Yeah.
We've evolved, and sometimes people will zig as you zag,
I mean, I would say now I'm realizing that as I'm developing even better strategies to help me cope. But it all starts with my belief system. Like you said, it's like, what do I think about myself? And then assessing my relationships. How do they serve me?
That brings me to law number 2, equal effort only. That includes energy, by the way, right? So many of us, like, okay, let's say it's a texting argument. Someone sends 2 sentences. And if you're trying to make peace, you will write a dissertation of an explanation. Okay. Like I've been guilty of it in the past, right? Hence new standards. And I don't even bother getting into texting arguments or whatever, right? Nowadays, right? But if there is if there is an imbalance in how engaged someone is with you, right? Then I just give them what they give. So if someone sends you 2 sentences and they don't want to talk more, then you send 2 sentences back, because otherwise it's over accommodation, and one shouldn't have to explain a simple no. Okay. Like, well, why can't you do this? I'm not going to be able to do that. A good friend will understand that without asking for more explanation. So it's like a little dance. If people are engaged in your life, you're engaged. If they withdraw, so do you. Yep. And the third one is, I will not be disrespected or undervalued, period. That, I think, is the one that hit you. Oh my God, it's hitting me now, right? Because most women, and women in particular, right? We convince ourselves, well, they didn't mean it. They're still a good friend, right? They're upset. They're having a bad day at work. And so we really push the mental, logic, I guess, or like us trying to, not logic, but us trying to reason our way out of it, versus asking ourselves, how do I feel? I feel disturbed. I feel stressed. Okay, then that's a call to action. It's your body telling you that you got to do something because something is out of balance. So when someone disrespects you or undervalues you, and that includes, let's go into friend zone, it's like, no, that's not what we were doing. Okay, that's just one example. I understand that that's where you're at. That's not where I'm at. Peace. Okay. But when someone does something like that, it's a matter of bringing it up. And in your case, they were not going to listen to it. So then you bounce. Right. But like, it's a notion of like, when you choose you know your worth. You know that you are worthy of love, that you are worthy of respect, and you will settle for nothing less. And I wish someone taught me this when I was 16 years old.
Even younger than that, right? When we were playing on the playground or something. What I thought about is, again, how I teach people, because my business is about changing belief systems, thought patterns, and emotional reactions. I would say my belief then, like you just said, was that as a woman, I should make an excuse, right? That's pretty much what I'm hearing. I should make an excuse for the behaviors of others, and literally reduce myself, not honor myself in the process. That's the belief that I think we, not just me, but a lot of women walk around with.
Yeah, men are much better at the no than we are, right? When you ask, when something is being asked of them, they're like, yeah, no, I'll see you later, right? Women are like, well, I'll see if I could fit you in between this time, or maybe I can move this other appointment, or maybe I can do, and again, there's exceptions to the rules, right? If someone needs help, etc. But it's more about noticing patterns. Another way that we disrespect even ourselves or dishonor ourselves is when someone promises things and they don't deliver, and they keep doing that. And eventually you realize that you're being undervalued and disrespected. So this is the line, right? Don't tell me that you're going to do something. Show me. Show me. Right? Don't apologize. Do differently. And that is either going to make or break a relationship or make or break a friendship. Like, if you're proud of me, show me. Like, come to my events, or like give me positive words or encouragement or something instead of saying that, right? Or if you have an event, like, purchase something. Like if someone's a ballet dancer, go to the ballet, right? If someone writes a book, try to write, buy the book. support is through action, not words.
I just didn't want to say anything because we already found our snippet, show up, show up for yourself. You matter is also what I'm hearing from you. You matter, women
yes.
matter,
So, I encourage people to make an empowerment list that they say every morning and every evening. Evening is important because our brains are actually very active at nighttime. And that's when we do repair sleep, which is stage 4 sleep. That's when we're in deep, deep sleep. So stuff like, I will not be disrespected or undervalued, right? I am worthy of love. I am worthy of respect. I am beautiful. That's a very hard one for most women. And that's why I love that you do what you do. Okay, to make people feel better about themselves. So it is very important. I am intelligent. I am confident. I am strong. And so I get a lot of pushback, but I don't feel that way. And it's like, yes, of course, because you don't speak to yourself that way.
No.
But now we're going to change the program that's in your head. And we have to usually go radical, like extreme, like, I can do anything, or I can overcome any obstacle.
I call that into the dreaming zone. That's where everything that you think you are lacking or everything you think you don't have. My third principle is everything you need is everything you have. That's when it's time for you to tap in. You've already,
everything that you need, and it's right here.
It's right.
Like you already have it. And so it's not so much, and here's another one. It's not so much finding your strength. Your strength is there. It's always been there. But, because of life, the hits in life, we begin to believe that, in hopelessness or that we're less than who we are, that we don't deserve, right? But the strength is obviously there. And, if some people push back, I just say, well, even if it's a 4% part of you, you're physically in my office trying to be better. So it's in there.
Yep.
You just have to tap into it. It's not a search. It's like embracing your greatness and embracing your badassery.
I call it, you must decide. I was talking to my pastor and she was like, to thine own self be true, right? Is it not the same thing? I surrender. We get, it's so many things that have already been said, but I think how we help to cross that bridge is with community. And I just am so grateful that you were there to be my community so that I didn't have to go to that space of unworthiness, that I didn't have to do all of that dance. Because I think we also think we got to go through that dance and pony show also. And we don't have to do it.
No, we don't perform. We don't perform and we don't chase.
Yeah. And so you helped catapult me in that moment. And I was just forever changed. And then when I went to my own personal therapist, she had her 2 cents to say. She was like, well, I don't care what you was doing in that room, And so I just appreciate the community that I've built. And this is why this platform is here, because, this is a place where you can be seen, valued, and heard. And, behind every face is a story. And so that helps you to be more reflective about who you are, have more clarity, and to move into your purpose, purpose.
Yes, absolutely.
Also personal freedom. So you are literally you have been a lifesaver ever since the moment I've met you. Like your expertise and everything has just been a blessing to my life. Well,
you have become the superstar. Remember last conversation we said, okay, now you're going to have to coach me because you've learned all of this really cool shit, and now I need a life coach.
I appreciate, all of you guys and how you've helped. It has been 2.5 years of building this framework out, but me showing up for myself. And I couldn't have done it without you guys, people connecting the dots for me. Trust me, I need you way more in this company to continue to help shift the lives of others. You're good.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to leave the people with? Want to know how can we stay in touch with you? What you got going on your radar?
Yeah. So as mentioned, I do public speaking. And if anyone is looking for that, you would just go to my website, Dr. Suzana Flores. It's SUZANA.com. And you can request, make a speaker request there. I'm writing a book on narcissism because that word has become so prevalent in the last few years. Cough, cough. Right. Right. Exactly. Right. We're like, and so, that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm looking forward to get writing again. because I'm sure you know this, right? Once you have to get into the zone, you have to get into like that unstoppable zone. And it took me a minute to get there. Some stuff happened to me. And sometimes we do have to retreat a little bit, lick our wounds, and then we return to the world. And it's okay to retreat until we get it together. And then we come back more powerfully.
Absolutely.
So, yep. So in terms of getting in touch with me, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of the good ones. And I also I post videos on TikTok as well.
Okay. And what's your handles?
Facebook is it's pretty predictable. Dr. Suzana Flores. I think they're all Dr. Suzana Flores. Yeah, and right now you're going to say, okay, we're going to need to work on that.
Suzana Flores, look her up. TEDx speaker, author, just all around amazing, dynamic woman. I appreciate you so much. You guys, this is just the beginning. Everything on purpose. We do things with intention over here because we have community. And, for Patent Leather Project, you can follow me, Latoya Deshawn. That's all my personal socials, but you can go to patentleatherproject.com. But we also offer lecturing, workshops, seminars. We're here to transform the most dynamic women, people, everyone who wants to choose personal freedom. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. And this won't be the last of you guys hearing from her. It's only up for all of us. Thank you so much for having me. This is a great talk. Amazing. Appreciate you.